Hey, Patriots fans! We're back with an exclusive video and the latest updates on our beloved New England Patriots. Before we jump in, don't forget to subscribe to Patriots Hub and hit that like button. This way, you'll stay updated and never miss any breaking news or exclusive content. The air around the facility feels heavier than usual, and whispers have begun to swirl about what might be happening behind the closed doors of the locker room. According to murmurs circulating among people close to the team, there may be a quiet but growing divide forming within the roster of the New England Patriots. At the center of the conversation is head coach Mike VRABEL, whose reputation for intensity and old-school discipline is once again under the spotlight. Some voices suggest that his training sessions have become extremely demanding, pushing players physically and mentally in ways that remind many of the most brutal eras of professional football preparation. But here is where the story becomes interesting, because not everyone inside the building seems to feel the same way about those methods. Rumor has it that the defensive unit has largely embraced the approach, seeing it as a badge of toughness and a necessary ingredient for building a championship-caliber mentality. Meanwhile, there are growing whispers that several members of the offensive side of the ball would prefer a different tone entirely. The word floating around the corridors is simple: peace. Not because they lack competitiveness, but because they believe a calmer environment might help them sharpen focus and execute with precision when the pressure rises the most. People familiar with the locker room dynamics say the difference in perspective might come down to identity. The defense, by nature, thrives on aggression, controlled chaos, and physical confrontation. For them, VRABEL's relentless practices reportedly feel like fuel, reinforcing the mentality that every snap should be a battle. Several defenders are rumored to view the coach's methods as a return to a harder, more intimidating style of football that forces players to push beyond perceived limits. Inside that circle, the narrative being whispered is that the discomfort is intentional. According to those sympathetic to the defensive group, VRABEL wants players to experience intensity during preparation so that real game pressure feels almost familiar by comparison. But the offensive side of the roster appears to be viewing the situation through a completely different lens. There is speculation that some offensive players believe the constant physical grind could interfere with timing, creativity, and mental clarity, all of which are essential to executing complex plays. The quiet message reportedly being shared among them is not rebellion, but a plea for balance. They want to channel their energy into precision rather than constant confrontation. What makes the rumor even more intriguing is how the alleged divide seems to follow traditional football psychology. Defenders often pride themselves on toughness above all else, while offensive players rely heavily on coordination and rhythm. In that context, the whispers about differing opinions inside the Patriots locker room begin to sound almost inevitable. According to those who claim to have heard conversations inside team circles, defenders have been openly praising VRABEL's intensity, arguing that championships are built through discomfort and sacrifice. Some are said to believe that the harder the preparation, the stronger the team becomes when everything is on the line. Meanwhile, speculation suggests that offensive players have quietly expressed concern that the emotional temperature of practices could be rising too high. Their argument, as the rumor goes, is that offense functions best when communication flows freely and players feel mentally relaxed enough to process adjustments quickly. When tension dominates the atmosphere, mistakes can multiply. None of this has been confirmed publicly, of course, but the contrast in perspectives has fueled growing speculation that two philosophies might be competing within the same locker room. Despite the chatter, there are also people around the organization who believe the situation might not be as dramatic as the rumors suggest. Some insiders argue that what outsiders interpret as division could simply be the natural friction that appears when a team is pushing itself toward a championship goal. After all, intense preparation often creates emotional reactions, especially when players are exhausted and expectations are sky high. From that point of view, the discussions inside the locker room might actually reflect a healthy debate rather than a destructive conflict. Still, the stories keep spreading. There are whispers that certain offensive leaders have attempted to bring the conversation directly to the coaching staff, asking whether some adjustments could be made to maintain competitive intensity while reducing the constant physical edge. The word peace continues to surface in those alleged conversations, not as a complaint, but as a strategic suggestion. According to those repeating the rumor, the offensive perspective is that calmness breeds execution, and execution is what ultimately wins championships. On the defensive side, however, the rumored reaction has reportedly been very different. Some defenders are said to view the offensive concerns as unnecessary hesitation. Their argument, according to the chatter circulating among team observers, is that football at the highest level demands absolute toughness, both mentally and physically. They believe VRABEL's demanding approach is not only justified but essential if the team truly wants to stand above the rest of the league. Within that mindset, discomfort becomes a symbol of commitment rather than a problem to solve. A few voices around the defensive unit allegedly believe that softening the intensity would risk diluting the competitive edge that separates good teams from championship teams. That belief reportedly aligns perfectly with VRABEL's own philosophy, which has long emphasized resilience, discipline, and accountability. Whether these claims accurately represent the mood inside the building is impossible to confirm from the outside, but the contrast between the rumored attitudes of offense and defense continues to fuel the story. All of this leaves fans and analysts wondering what the real atmosphere inside the Patriots locker room might actually feel like right now. Is there truly a philosophical divide forming between two sides of the roster? Or are these whispers simply the byproduct of a team pushing itself through an intense season with a championship dream on the horizon? What makes the speculation so compelling is that both perspectives, at least on the surface, seem rooted in a shared goal. The defense wants relentless intensity to forge an unstoppable mentality. The offense wants a calmer environment to sharpen timing and decision-making. In theory, both paths aim toward the same destination, lifting the ultimate trophy at the end of the journey. For now, though, the rumor mill keeps spinning, suggesting that inside the walls of the Patriots facility there may be an ongoing conversation about how exactly that championship should be pursued. And as long as the whispers continue, the question of unity versus tension will remain one of the most intriguing storylines surrounding the team. As the whispers continue to circulate around the Patriots organization, the story grows even more fascinating because it seems to touch something deeper than just training intensity. According to speculation spreading among people who follow the team closely, the alleged tension might actually reflect two completely different visions of how a championship team should function. On one side, the defensive players reportedly see Mike VRABEL's demanding methods as a direct path to building an unbreakable mentality. They believe that when practices become brutal and emotionally draining, it forces players to confront adversity long before the pressure of the biggest games arrives. In that sense, every exhausting drill becomes preparation for the moments when the season's destiny hangs in the balance. But on the other side of the locker room, there are whispers suggesting that some offensive players fear the emotional climate might be drifting towards something counterproductive. Their belief, as the rumor goes, is that offense thrives on rhythm, timing, and confidence, and that an atmosphere filled with constant intensity might slowly erode those delicate elements that make a unit truly explosive. What makes the speculation even more intriguing is the possibility that certain veteran voices may have quietly stepped into the conversation behind the scenes. According to murmurs floating through the football world, a few experienced defensive players might have approached teammates privately, discussing whether the team should collectively ask for a slight shift in tone. Not a rebellion, not a confrontation, but rather a subtle request for equilibrium between intensity and clarity. These rumors claim the message being shared among offensive leaders revolves around protecting the mental space needed to execute complex schemes under extreme pressure. They reportedly believe that when players feel mentally calm, communication flows faster, reads become sharper, and the entire system operates with greater efficiency. Meanwhile, the defensive unit is rumored to have responded with a completely different perspective. Within their conversations, the belief allegedly remains that football greatness demands relentless toughness, and that easing the edge of preparation could weaken the identity the team is trying to build. There is also speculation that Mike VRABEL himself may be fully aware of these different viewpoints circulating inside the building. After all, experienced coaches often sense the emotional currents of a locker room long before anything becomes public. Some observers believe VRABEL could intentionally be allowing this tension to exist, seeing it as a form of internal competition that ultimately strengthens the team. In this theory, the coach understands that defenders and offensive players naturally approach the game from different psychological angles, and instead of forcing total agreement, he might be using that contrast to create a deeper level of accountability. According to this line of speculation, VRABEL's philosophy could be simple. Let the players debate, let them challenge each other, and in the process they will forge a stronger collective identity. Still, not everyone around the league is convinced this approach always works smoothly. Some analysts believe prolonged internal disagreements about preparation methods can slowly chip away at unity if they are not carefully managed. Inside the rumor mill, there are even stories suggesting that certain practices may have become emotionally charged moments where the philosophical clash becomes visible. Observers claim that when the defense celebrates a hard collision or an especially physical drill, some offensive players reportedly react with quiet frustration rather than enthusiasm. Not because they dislike competition, but because they worry the atmosphere might be drifting away from the precision mindset they believe is necessary for offensive success. These alleged moments are small, subtle, and often interpreted differently depending on who describes them. Yet they have helped fuel the narrative that two different football cultures might be coexisting within the same locker room. One culture built around relentless aggression, the other centered on controlled execution. Both philosophies have historically produced champions in professional football, which is why the speculation continues to captivate those watching from the outside. Despite all the rumors, there is another possibility quietly circulating among insiders who know the Patriots organization well. Some believe the entire situation could actually be a sign of a team that cares deeply about winning. Passionate players often argue about the best path toward success, especially when the ultimate goal is a championship. From that perspective, the conversations reportedly happening inside the locker room might not represent division at all, but rather a collective search for the perfect formula. Every great team throughout history has experienced moments when personalities, strategies, and philosophies collided before eventually aligning at the most critical time. Those who hold this view believe that the Patriots roster might simply be navigating that exact process right now, with each group fighting for the approach they believe gives the team the strongest chance to reach the top. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to Patriots Hub and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep delivering the latest updates on our New England Patriots. And don't be shy, share your thoughts on the news in the comments below. In the end, the truth behind the whispers remains hidden behind the closed doors of the Patriots facility. Fans can only speculate about what conversations are actually taking place between players, coaches, and team leaders as the season continues to unfold. What is clear, however, is that the rumored contrast between the defense embracing VRABEL's brutal preparation style and the offense seeking a calmer path toward focus has created one of the most intriguing storylines surrounding the team. Whether this tension becomes a problem or transforms into a powerful source of motivation will likely depend on how the locker room ultimately channels those emotions. If unity emerges from the debate, the team could become stronger than ever. But until that answer reveals itself, the whispers will keep spreading, leaving everyone wondering what is really happening behind the scenes as the Patriots chase the dream of a championship. As the speculation keeps growing, another layer of the story has started to circulate among those who closely observe the atmosphere around the team. Some insiders believe the real question is not whether the locker room has different opinions, but how those opinions will eventually shape the identity of the Patriots moving forward. In many ways, the rumored clash between the defensive mentality and the offensive perspective reflects a deeper philosophical crossroads. On one side, the defenders allegedly view the season as a test of endurance, believing that a team forged through relentless hardship becomes nearly impossible to break when the biggest moments arrive. They reportedly see every exhausting drill, every brutal practice, as a necessary sacrifice in pursuit of something greater. Meanwhile, the offensive players, according to whispers, continue to advocate for an environment that protects clarity and precision. Their vision of championship football revolves around flawless execution, sharp communication, and the ability to remain mentally composed even when chaos surrounds the field. The fascinating part of this rumor is that both sides are chasing the same dream, yet they believe in completely different roads to reach it. And perhaps that is what makes this story so captivating for anyone watching from the outside. The Patriots organization has always been associated with discipline, structure, and an almost mysterious ability to transform internal pressure into success. Now, according to the speculation making its way through the football world, the team may be experiencing another defining moment where personalities, philosophies, and ambitions collide. Some observers believe that if Mike VRABEL manages to blend the defensive hunger for intensity with the offensive desire for calm precision, the result could be a team that is both physically relentless and mentally unstoppable. Others worry that if the balance is not found soon, the quiet disagreements might slowly grow louder as the season progresses. For now, however, everything remains within the realm of rumor and locker room whispers. No one outside those walls truly knows how the players are resolving these conversations. But one thing is certain: when a team with championship aspirations begins debating the path to greatness, every small detail suddenly becomes part of a much bigger story. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our New England Patriots, be sure to subscribe to Patriots Hub and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.